Good evening, Blue Wave surfers, and welcome to the Candidates Corner. I'm Dan Jennings. Tonight, our guest is Tessa Stuve, running for Las Cruces City Council in New Mexico, District Number 2. Good evening, Tessa. How are you tonight?
Good. Thank you so much for having me on.
Well, tell us a little bit about yourself and why you've chosen this time to run.
Well, thank you. As you said, my name is Tessa Stuve, and I am running for Las Cruces City Council in District 2. I made my home here in Las Cruces about 17 years ago, where I came to college at New Mexico State, and I earned my degree in government. Along the way, though, I met my husband, and we had a pair of twins. They were preemies, so I actually ended up graduating a year after they were born. We furthered our family by adding our little one, Penny, 5 years later. And along the way, I've been an advocate speaking on behalf of the preservation of our Oregon Mountain Desert Peaks National Monument, for kids' activities and sports. And most recently, I worked our legislative session to help put into statute our child advocacy centers and for the New Mexico Coalition of Sexual Assault Service Programs. And I have always been an advocate, but when I was in Santa Fe and I was working, it really became apparent that a lot of the conversations and a lot of policy is decided well before advocates get a true voice. So when I heard our city councilor was stepping down so that he could run for mayor, it left the seat open, and I thought it would be a great time to bring in a new voice and perspective. Should I be elected, I will be the first female city councilor to ever serve while raising school-age children. So they've never had, I call it the mom's point of view before, and it is something to really it's a misperspective, and it's something that should be on the table when we're talking about our children, when we're talking about our families. We need to have that active voice present. Thank you.
Okay, well, you've touched on a few things that I was going to ask, so I'll jump around on my list here a little bit. You've described yourself as an active soccer mom for 3 children.
Yes.
What lessons have your children taught you that help prepare you to be a city councilwoman?
Patience, I think, is the first and foremost. One of the things that I think is very unique, even with raising twins, is that everybody's personality is very different. And it's going to be the same when you're interacting with your constituents. You're going to get a large variety of personalities, of people that are very passionate about different subjects, and you're going to need to be able to work and handle with all those personalities. So having 3 children makes me well adapted at being able to handle that, and also multitasking. You have to be able to handle different schedules, work hard every day.
Okay. You touched on your activism for the natural wonders in your area. What would you propose to keep them intact as city councilwoman?
Yes, well, one of the big things here in the desert region, we have to be very concerned about our water usage. And when we look at growth and expansion, we have to think smart growth. And so as a city councilor, I think it's going to be very important that we're able to balance that smart growth and think about our infill and make sure that we're taking care of the older parts of the city as well, and kind of using those resources of areas inside of the city.
Okay. You served as the secretary for the board of directors of the Las Cruces Green Chamber of Commerce. Can you tell us a little bit about your work there?
Yes. For the Las Cruces Green Chamber of Commerce, we think people, planet, profit. And it really helps to build up our small and local businesses. We know that our local businesses give back to our communities over 260% more than national chains. And it's our families, it's our neighbors, it's our friends. These are people in our community that we want to see succeed. And for part of the Green Chamber, we're able to connect those people together, give them resources and tools to meet up, offer resources, and help promote them as well. I was a small business owner for 3 years. I had an in-home business, and I joined the Green Chamber because I knew that it was very important for me to get connected as well. But once I was in there, I found a passion for helping others and for doing the connecting.
Since 2016, you have been an active member of the Polka Dot Powerhouse, a professional networking group for women in local businesses. What are your ideas to help small businesses succeed in your city and also to increase the diversity of ownership in them?
Yes. One of the things that I'm hoping we can do at the city level is kind of give a toolkit for our businesses. We are going to have a little bit of demographics and have magazines and things like that that oftentimes larger businesses can afford to have, and us at the city can have as research as tools, but smaller businesses aren't really going to be able to afford these items. But if we can kind of collect them and then be able to share them as part of our, hopefully in the economic development department, we can give sort of a toolbox kit for our businesses. And making sure in our city, we do have a slight issue with being able to staff properly so that our businesses are able to get up and running at an appropriate amount of time. And so I want to work on that. And I also think that moving forward, there are some ideas of helping do more of classes to encourage new business owners and, targeting, making sure that we're targeting people from the university, entrepreneurs, more women leaders as well. And so those are ideas that I'd love to research a little bit more to make sure that we're doing accurate targeting, but bring them to the table.
Okay. You're a graduate of Emerge New Mexico, an organization that champions qualified women to run for elected office. What one experience would you like to tell our listeners about your time with Emerge?
My time at Emerge was absolutely very beneficial. I was actually asked to run for a city council position about 4 years ago. And at the time I said no, because I didn't feel ready. I didn't feel like I knew the first place to even start with running a campaign. And this program really helped gain the experience that you needed, the technical details, but also I would say it is the friendships. I went on my first canvas walk ever while in Emerge, and her name was Katie. We went together, and I was scared even to knock on that very first door. And it was having that supportive person right there next to me where we both could lift each other up and show that we're both leaders, we're both there to succeed, and we can help each other and lift each other up. And I think that's part of what the Emerge program is all about and why it's so successful. It is people helping each other and giving them the tools to succeed.
Right. Can you tell us about one progressive project you have worked on that was not in your field of expertise and how that worked out?
Well, that is a very good question. I will have to say that one area that I started out with that wasn't in my expertise, I was part of, it's called the Progressive Voters Alliance. And I joined the group just as a person. I walked in, I knew that there were going to be different leaders there, but didn't know much about it. So I just joined as a participant. And later on, I did become part of their executive team. And before then, I had never spoken in front of anybody, and it really was out of my wheelhouse to even be part of a leadership program in that way. And so I went to them afterwards and I said, I would like to be a part of this in a more dynamic way. I think what you're doing is really great. It's giving a lot of tools and information to our residents here in Las Cruces that they need. And as a busy mom, I want to be able to go to one spot and get as much information as I can instead of having to try to pick and choose what I can actually go do. So it was my first time branching out from just being a mom, I would say, into becoming more of that advocate and to really bring myself in a more public persona.
Okay. I have one more local question, and then I want to get to a few national topics and how they affect your area.
Okay.
You served as a registered lobbyist during the 2019 session of the New Mexico legislature.
Mhm.
Do you feel that is going to help you as a candidate, or are you concerned that voters may view your standing as a lobbyist in a negative light?
I think this is going to help me. And I will say this, you have to, whether you're advocating, whether you're lobbying, you have to make sure you feel good about what you're standing up for. And I can say with 100% certainty that I will always stand up for children. I will always stand up for survivors. And that's, I think, nothing to be ashamed of, or to when people hear about it too, they know that those are good, good topics and good things that we need to stand up for. And when I've talked to, I'm always very honest. And so if they ask, I always say what I was working on, what I was doing. And it really gave me the tools to understand what policies are coming to light, how to interact. We were talking about personalities, interacting with tough personalities, and being able to just navigate that whole process. It really gave me a lot of the technical experience that is needed as a city councilor too, because you're going to be dealing with similar policies, with resolutions, and you're going to have to do very similar tasks.
Okay. Let's get on to some of the national issues and how they affect your area locally. My city recently started up a police supervised drug interdiction program, complete with injection sites and watching people so that they don't overdose and such, and also so they're not dumping needles illegally in city parks or behind school playgrounds or wherever. Do you support the idea of government-run programs for drug users such as the one I just described?
Yes, and it's something that I believe Las Cruces is going to be working towards a similar program in 2020. We know that addiction is, it can be a mental health issue, and we in Las Cruces have a great need to, we have a deficit in providers for mental health. We really don't have a good system right now. And we have to be able to help these people that are addicted and hopefully reduce recidivism at the same time. And so I support ways that are done, of course, in conjunction with our police force and with the safety of the residents in mind, but to really treat addiction and make sure that we're caring for those individuals as well.
Okay, we have seen in this current administration a crackdown on immigration and a lot of fear mongering. What is your position on immigration?
That is a very important question for here in Las Cruces. We accepted thousands of asylum seekers into our city, and they were basically dropped off by border control. And in those very beginning days, they filled up all of the nonprofits, and we were starting to have overflow. And there was a call out that said, there's a couple families that can't be in the shelter anymore. I really need somebody to bring them in for the night. And so our family took in 3 people from El Salvador, and it was a mom and her 2 children. Her little girl was the same age as my boys. And I have to say, it really humanizes this event. These aren't terrible people, and they're just trying to do what's best for their family, and they're trying to survive. And as a parent, I know that I would do exactly the same for my child if they were in the same situation. Our city did very well with providing resources. Right now, we have what's called the armory set up, so that if we do get intakes, we can help them and process and get them to their next destinations, wherever that end place may be for them, in a way that puts a little bit less strain on the community itself, because it is a issue if we do have hundreds of people dropped off daily without any resources into the community. It's going to affect services for our residents and for those people, and we want to make sure that both are safe. And so we have a good system worked out now. However, with the new legislation, we're not seeing those, that they're not getting back over to our side now. But we are ready and willing to take care of them, and know that we need to teach everybody to treat each other with dignity and respect, no matter what side of the border they're on.
Okay. Recently, we have seen localities taking the initiative on gun control, not waiting for the state or the federal government to do their jobs.
Mm-hmm.
What is your position on gun control, and do you feel you can handle it at the council level, or is this something you're going to have to wait on for the state or the federal?
Our state was I would say, a leader this year. They did pass legislation for background checks for guns. But the thing is, my kindergartner will know how to perfect a shooting drill training before she is able to read. And so when you have that situation in mind, you're going to have those serious conversations that we have a problem now that needs to be addressed. And we have to make sure that we keep our residents safe. We can possibly do some things at the city council level. Right now, we do have areas that are trying to become sanctuary cities for guns. We have that going on. So that would be something that I would not be in favor of doing that. I want to make sure that we keep everybody safe, and we have to listen to our kids and our students and our families and everyone, and make sure that they feel safe and secure as well.
Great. One final question. A non-binding resolution adopted by the Lehigh County Council, God, I get marbles in my mouth today, in February to support life at conception, which then inspired similar action in Roswell and Eddies counties, and a failed attempt last week in Farmington. These local government actions are currently unconstitutional. What will you do to ensure a woman's right to health care?
Yes. This is a very personal and touching subject, and it goes down to that I firmly believe that the choice is for the woman and her family and her medical care providers to make those decisions. They are hard decisions. 11 years ago, I woke up in the middle of the night coughing up foam, and I was in heart failure due to pregnancy. And I'm not alone in this. I have a genetic heart condition. And when we talk about criminalizing abortion, what we leave off the table too is all the extra cases, all the special circumstances. And we don't know about those things. I am no longer a candidate for pregnancy. And if legislation like this is passed, a person such as myself that has medical conditions will not be able to survive a pregnancy. And that choice becomes out of my hands. And I trust my heart health and my personal health between my providers and myself and the family that I choose to bring in. And I believe that choice should be up to each woman to do so.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Tessa. We appreciate you being on the show, and we wish you the best of luck going forward in your candidacy.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Oh, you're very welcome. For Demcast and the Blue Wave Report, I'm Dan Jennings, reminding you as always, don't just comment, act. Good night, everybody.
Thank you.